Welcome everyone to the Keepers Club podcast. This podcast is hosted by Keepers Club, a club that aims to keep young people like us away from negative activities such as smoking, drinking, doing drugs, and help guide and uplift young adults like us who are tuning in, and especially those who might be going through depression, anxiety, loneliness, suicidal thoughts, and um, overall a negative life. So we have the privilege to have guests that are willing to join this week's recording to share their experiences on how to stay healthy, happy, and motivated. Because at the end of the day, that's really the goal of the club for us keepers to share with others as one were to do with their own brother or sister. Just like the club slogan, I am my brother's keeper, we will do whatever it takes to share the love that we experience individually and as a group. And we love to also thank the founding president of Keepers Club, who is none other than Pastor Apollo C. Kibaloy, for this opportunity to be a part of our Keepers Club podcast. So without further ado, let us introduce our keepers today. And let's give a round of applause as well for everyone joining. So how are the keepers there? How are you all? How's your day?
Hi, I'm good.
Keeper
Thank you.
Gab, Keeper Jane, Keeper Joseph, Keeper Tony, Keeper Alfie. Did I miss anyone? Keeper Mary. Yeah, so kindly say how your day was, everyone. How's your day treating you so far?
Mine was all right, priest.
Hi everyone. How are you? Doing good.
So nice seeing you all, and let's all give a round of applause to all the keepers joining in. Thank you for joining, and we're glad you're safe. Glad you're tuning into this podcast as well for all the viewers all around the world, especially in the United States and in the Philippines. Um, so so we're glad for you to join, and let's get started with our program today. All right. So our topic today is the 7 dangerous love affairs. Let me also. All right. You can all see it. Can you tell me what picture it shows on the screen?
I see a mountain, a
All right.
green
Good looks.
grassy mountain.
Ali.
Thank you, Keeper Gab. All right. So let's jump right into it. So once again, we are the Keepers Club podcast, and we are a podcast to help guide, encourage, and uplift the youth. And we do this through Zoom, through YouTube, and Facebook. And the reason we do so is because I am my brother's keeper. We really strive to gather the youth all over the United States and to really keep them toward a life and a road of success to really be used um, to be productive members of society, and especially to keep them away from a negative life, a life full of um, not a life that. Oh yes, but once again, I am my brother's keeper, the slogan. And we hope to gather and bond and to share with keepers all over the US. So our experience so far, it has been very memorable, and it is also a great privilege to have this podcast for anyone tuning in. And it is truly blessed experience once again to really see all the keepers, especially here in the United States, and to really gather the keepers in our respective states. So we really talk about topics such as the struggles of being a youth today. We talk about how to focus. We talk about love and the dangers of love, you can say as well. Um, what we're hoping to actually talk about today. But overall, once again, we really strive to uplift the youth. So I'd also like to take this opportunity to greet um, a dear another keeper who has just joined. I will hopefully we can all greet her. I think a new face. Right. So hello there, keeper Rika. How are you?
Hello, welcome.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Rika. Keeper Rika, we love if you could kindly greet everyone. We believe that you might be a new face, right? A new keeper, actually. and also another keeper joining named Keeper Rika. So we'll make sure to say hi to him or her as well. Um, but if you're there, kindly greet everyone. So go Keeper Rika and Keeper Erica. I'm unsure if you guys are the same person, but
They're
other than that,
sisters.
oh, they're sisters.
Hi,
Okay.
Erica. Hi, Erica. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, we love to hear and see you. But other than that, let's all give a round of applause to the Rika and Erica sisters for joining this podcast. So
You
everyone,
met them
kindly
now
greet
then.
them. Yes, yeah.
You met them last on Sunday.
That's exactly what I was thinking, actually. Yeah, long time no see. Um, just know too, if you're not available to talk or like to show your video, it's perfectly fine. Just know that we are really happy and privileged to have you join this podcast. And once again, it's so nice seeing you, even though we're not together in person, that truly you have joined through Zoom. So, once again, we are the Keepers Club podcast, and maybe Keeper Tony or Keeper AC can kindly uh, tell them a little bit about what Keepers Club is all about.
So, hi, first of all, welcome. Since it's your first time joining, I guess. So, Keepers Club is basically an organization for young people like us to be able to spend our time in, quality time where you're not really using your time to do worldly things, like, kind of like devices that you see outside. So instead, we use this time and everyone joining here today to talk about, the good things that we can talk about in this world. And yeah, it's really just a good way to spend your time as a youth, especially if you don't have anything to do, right? So yeah, that's welcome to Keepers Club. I hope you enjoy and keep following up in the next episodes as well.
Thank you, Keeper Tony, and goalkeeper Tony from Texas, I believe. But speaking of Texas, is keeper AC there as well? Is he next to you, Bunso? Or hindi? Okay,
Uh,
but which one, Bunso?
he went out for a second.
Okay, all good. But since we can see your face, also keeper Gab, can we once again reiterate what the Keepers Club podcast is and the goal of the Keepers Club podcast? So go keeper Gab.
So, once again, welcome, guys. So the Keepers podcast is basically to um kind of uplift others in the sense of having a positive life, like because a lot of people can't really get the right advice from somebody. Sometimes, like people are feeling down or like when they're confused, especially as a young person, you need someone to talk to or you need advice. So this podcast is it's almost it's sort of in that sense, but yeah, we're just here to bring or suggest or give advice, like positive stuff into your life, bring positive stuff into your life. So yeah.
Thank you, Keeper Gab, and let's all give another round of applause to Keeper Rika and Erica for joining today. So we really hope you enjoy, and regardless if we're able to see or hear you, um, we're just really thankful for you to join. So we hope you enjoy the podcast today, and let's continue. So, all right. So that is our experience on so far of this Keepers Club podcast. It's like episode 7, I believe, and we'll also greet briefly Keeper Josh when he comes in. Um, yes. So let's move on. All right, but let's have our icebreaker to kind of get a feel and an atmosphere of all the keepers joining today. So, um, the first icebreaker is called "Where in the World." So I will stop sharing the screen, and if you can see in all those little boxes on your Zoom screen, it's pretty much we're just gonna point to a specific keeper. So, um, you'll see how it goes. I'll stop the screen. We love to see all your beautiful faces, by the way. But for this first icebreaker, let us do this. Let us do this one. So it's as simple as this. We're gonna say, "Where in the world is?" and we'll point to Keeper Mary. So, where in the world is Keeper Mary? All right, hey, go Isaac and Isaiah. By the way, thank you for joining and nice matching tank tops. Go Twins. All right, where in the world is Keeper Josh? We love to see your face too, Josh. All right, how about Keeper Alfie? How about Keeper Calvin? All right, and then probably Keeper Vince. Go Keeper Vince, by the way. Hope your day is going well. All right. Hey, Vince. How are you there, Vince? All right. So, hope you enjoyed that icebreaker. Kind of just to get familiar with the names. All right. This one, though, is called hot potato. So, grab anything. It like hot potato, right? But it's going to be like, you're going to grab something. Like, and then we'll have a topic like this, like colors, something simple, right? So it'd be colors, right? And then you grab the ball, and I'll say blue, and then I'll pass it to keeper Gab. Go Gab.
Purple.
Oh, and then I'll say the name you pass it to.
Oh, okay. Isaac.
Go Isaac.
The color white. What the color
The
white
chips. All right, pass the chips to someone. Yo, Bonso.
to my uncles, to both my uncles.
Go uncle.
Yellow. Yeah, Calvin.
Again. Okay. Yeah. I'll do green, and then keeper. Is there anyone else showing their video? Pass it to keeper Frank. How are you there, Frank? All right, hey, go Frank. Be safe, by the way. I'll take it back from Frank, and then I'll pass it to keeper Gab.
You're muted.
All right, hey, go
Oh,
keeper Gab.
here. Okay, red. I'll pass it to Isaiah then.
Oh, go Isaiah, last one.
Unmute Isaiah.
Okay. It's all good. That. Oh. Okay, but that one kind of works more with when people have the videos on. But other than that, we hope you enjoyed that hot potato icebreaker. All right, so thank you also for sharing your videos. But we'll finish with this last icebreaker, and it is called "Finish the Sentence." So I'm going to type in the chat. For example, it is going to be. I'll type in the chat, and then it is gonna be like this. My week so far is going, and then you can have fun and chat. Follow your heart in the chat box. So we're looking forward to seeing how your week has been going, and while all the keepers are doing that, we just also want to once again greet all the new faces here in this Keepers podcast. Go once again, Keeper Erica and Keeper Rika, and especially all the keepers tuning in to this episode. So we hope that you're enjoying it. We hope that your week has been well. Hopefully, like all the keepers, hope that you got to do something memorable, got to eat something nice, got to go somewhere that you'll cherish. And once again, thank you for joining. So love from the Keepers Club podcast, especially in the United States, like Chicago, Texas, California, Delano, Illinois. All right, so let's do this. Finish the sentence. some answers are is going awesome, amazing, beautiful week. All right, my week is going good. Go Rika. And my week is amazing. Got to sleep over at Keswick. Wow. I too want to sweep over at Keswick. Wow. And goalkeeper Vince, who's having a great week. So thank you for sharing. And then how about let's also do type in this something that I also wish to the keepers in the that we wish for the keepers tuning in. Something memorable that I did, visited, met, saw, etc. is all right. So excuse my grammar, but we're looking forward to hearing the keepers that have joined this podcast and something memorable they did, somewhere they visited, somewhere they met, something they're willing to share. All right, because this platform is really, this podcast is really a platform for us to really share. Not only the things that we've learned, not only the things that we've learned from our founding president as well, but also if you ever need someone to talk to, or you ever want someone to vent to, you ever want someone to, maybe you're going through something and you really just want to tell someone about it, whether good or bad, we can be those brothers and sisters for you, especially when you don't have anyone, or especially if you don't feel like you don't have a belonging in school, in your work, in your job, in your social circle. So Keepers Club is a club for you, and we are all very privileged to have joined this club, where we can really do our part to share love, because love is all we need. So um, goalkeeper Tony being the only one to share their chat, but other than that, something memorable that he did was to go to Disneyland. Oh, and yep, go to Disneyland, and it was fun. Go AC. Also, who's this? Oh, goalkeeper Gab also that you got to play guitar for a concert. Wow. Hope the concert was well, by the way. I went for your church. I too got to perform for my church, so I hope yours went well, Gab. And other than that, how about Joseph? Also said you got to go to NOW. While I share the screen, can you kindly type or even share what NOW means? So go, Joseph. Oh, okay. It means night of worship. So we're looking forward to that, Joseph. Um, but other than that, Keeper Vince, memorable. Got to go to Disneyland. Yeah, how was Disneyland, by the way? Kindly share your experiences while I start sharing the screen. Okay, but um, other than that, we hope you enjoyed that icebreaker. We hope that you got to not only chat but to type. And thank you for sharing as well your experiences with us. And once again, we hope that you're having a great week. So we're glad you're safe. We're glad you got to um that you're all there in one piece and you got to even wake up today, right? So what a blessed opportunity to live another day. And love once again from the Keepers Club podcast. Um, and once again, or hope Disneyland was fun. Hope Night of Worship was fun. Hope performing for your church went well. So lots of love. And let's move on to our disclaimer, everyone. So before we officially start our discussion, we just want to remind everyone that this podcast is rated everyone. So everything that we say, everything that we share, everything that we mention, we just ask that you could kindly make sure and just really think that everything that we say is pleasing to the ear. And please avoid cursing, sharing anything traumatic, and of course, spreading anything that goes against our slogan, which is I am my brother's keeper. So, can we have a thumbs up from everyone who has joined? Nice thumbs, by the way. And also, even a thumbs up from those who. Oh, word, go, keeper Rika. I was just gonna say. All right. Thank you, Keeper Rika, and nice Rubik's Cube also, Bunsos. All right. Thank you, everyone. So, Um, 1 second. Yeah, this is recording. Okay. Yeah, good look. Okay. Thank you for your patience. So, once again, our episode 7 topic is called The 7 Dangerous Love Affairs. So, for anyone who has joined last week, we actually talked about the topic of love as a whole, like in general. But this episode, we kind of want to like dig a little deeper into that topic and also kind of analyze how we should be careful about the many different types of love, especially the dangerous loves, right? So it's something that we always need to reflect on, and some things that we can learn, some things that we never thought about, even myself when doing our research. So let's move on. So let's get into the 7 types of love. Once again, there are 7 main, or actually there are 7 dangerous love affairs. So the first one being is the love of self. And I know you guys are all smart, so you guys can read, but I'll also repeat it for the viewers. And so the first one is, once again, love of self, and it is pretty much the narcissistic love of the excessive love or the excessive love of oneself. And an example is seeing everything from his or her limited viewpoint, right? So, as you can see, some keep note of also like the photos that we have here. People are taking selfies or people are really thinking that the world revolves around them, right? So, that is the first kind of love, love of self. The second love of the dangerous loves is the love of money. So the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And keep in note the love of money. So we didn't say money, but the love of money, right? And some examples are greediness, materialistic, or being materialism, right? And also the desire of the most expensive riches, like most expensive car, house, phone, anything that really um the desire, like truly living for money, right? So I moving on. How about the three? Some things that we never thought about, right? The third one is the love of the praise of men, or the praise of men and women, the praise of man, right? So for example, it is like essentially it is doing good things to win a good reputation in the public eye. And some examples are really seeing the world through a social lens, right? So also, by the way, feel free to take note of the things you might want to talk about, especially for our discussion. Some things that you haven't realized, some things that you really haven't thought about, some of the things that you want to give a good example of, maybe even a personal experience, right? So moving on, the fourth is the love of pleasure. So the love of pleasure comes in many forms, and it's also some examples are adultery, fornicating, uncleanliness, lewdness, drunkenness, and revelries. Right. So for anyone who needs clarification, also we can kind of just maybe for any of these we can also discuss a little later on. So the fourth one, love of pleasure. Let's move on to number five. The fifth one is the love of darkness rather than light. Like I just want to emphasize, we sometimes we never even think about it. It's kind of sounds simple, right? Like you love evil more than good, but right? So this essentially is being accustomed into sinning and refusing righteousness. So some examples is knowing what is good slash righteous, or knowing the righteousness and choosing to be sinful or to oppose what is good. All right. So number six, the sixth one being is the love of life. So essentially, or expecting to live a life of ease and comfort. So, some examples, or an example, is the daily sacrifice of abandoning all lust, worldly ambitions, and a life dedicated to our own interpretation of what life is all about. So we really thank the podcast too, and especially the Keepers Club, because we don't learn these things in school, right? So we're really happy that we're able to share what we've learned through Keepers Club through this podcast. And the seventh one is the love of God. So doing everything to please God and the cleansing of one's spirit, minds, and hearts. An example is the transition of death to life in which we serve Him faithfully and become molded into being spiritual. Right? So once again, we can do some clarification for anyone who has questions, but I never, like for me, I never thought the love of God would be one of them, right? But then again, not only is God a God of love, but He is also a God of judgment, right? So let's summarize all those 7 types of love in some bullet points, and it is once again the love of self, money, praise of man, love of pleasure, darkness rather than light, love of life, and the love of God. All right. So, once again, our topic is the 7 dangerous love affairs. And the question is, what are the 7 dangerous love affairs? Why should keepers around the world be aware or careful of them? Also, are there any types of love that stick out to you and why? Let's kind of move away from the screen, but I'll type in the question correctly in the chat box. So thank you for your understanding. But other than that, some things to remember, or actually, let's move after our discussion. But once again, why should keepers around the world be aware and careful of these types of love? And are there any types of love that stick out to you and why? So we'll move on to our discussion. And just know that our discussion is open to everyone. There is no wrong answer, and we will defend you in case there are any keepers that are truly laughing at you or are wondering why you would say anything like that you truly believe in, right? So just know that we kind of just want to hear everyone, kind of hear their reflection, kindly hear if we could hear some things that really spoke to them, right, through this presentation, because I know I learned something too, and that these are truly some loves that I never thought about, right? So while I continue to share the music, we just love to once again thank all the keepers joining, and we love to hear your reflection on this on the 7 dangerous types of love and the dangerous love affairs, the seven dangerous love affairs.
All right.
So who would like to? Oh, yes, Gab. Would you
I
like
was
to
just gonna
start it off?
ask, like, uh, just before I start, can you like send the question, cause so I can,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to like
Yeah,
gather
for sure.
my thoughts, kind of, but also for the question in the chat box, I'm pretty sure to clarify the love of praise of men, it's
Mm.
meant, I'm pretty sure it means like you love to get praise, like when somebody says, "Oh wow, you're good looking," or when somebody says, like they compliment you a lot, like celebrities, like a lot of people, celebrities have a lot of fans, and celebrities love the praise. So I'm pretty sure that's what it means.
Hmm. Thank you for the clarification. And for example, though, even if they're a celebrity or not, it's something that all the keepers should be careful of, right? Like really desiring or living for the praise of men, or the praise of man, like the praise of people, the praise of the people, right? So could anyone clarify, like, for example, since we started off with that, maybe an example of the praise of man, or um, if they'd like to open the discussion, maybe kind of set the standard, or the be one of the first to share the reflection on this podcast, or the question as I type it in the chat. So feel free to jump in, and if not, I'm willing to start it off, of course. But we love to hear from you guys.
So for the praise of man, I just want to say that I have one of the main thing to talk about, because it's just, we come from different backgrounds, but I think the one of the main things that we have in common is that as we grow old, there's always the desire to please your parents, to always do good in in your daily activities, like especially in school. they're gonna always want you to have um, good grades, good manners, good conduct, and all of that. And the praise of man is like, it's not like you're disregarding their desire for you to do good in school, because that's like, the love of the praise of man. I mean, as a kid, of course, we're gonna go through that phase where we're just trying to do everything that we can to make our mom and dad proud. But it's like the praise of man. Like, wow, they're gonna say, "Oh, what a good job!" Like Keeper Gab said, I think he said, like, "Yeah, they're gonna compliment you in everything that you do." So you keep on seeking that compliment by doing good things. So I think that's what I can say about the praise of man, the love of praise of man. Yes. And I think that they answered in the messages.
Yeah, no, I want to chime in on what Anthony mentioned about wanting to please your parents because I have diagnosed myself with burnt out gifted kid syndrome because, growing up, being, of course, grateful for having parents who supported my studies and like really wanted me to do great in school. But like at that point, growing up with that, oh, that's where you receive your sort of validation. That's where you receive your comfort from. And like, it's almost like, oh, being good in school is like the only way I can please the people around me. That growing up with that sort of mentality is very draining. And the term burnt out gifted kid syndrome has been like coined by this generation because it's like you're getting to the point where you're just like, I just can't anymore. So all the times seeking validation, the praises of man, it's very draining because nothing you do is for yourself anymore. And like that sounds like kind of selfish, but it's like I say that in a sense of like you don't do things to improve yourself or to improve your skill set. You start doing things only to make those around you proud of you. And that's just something I want to mention because it's especially being raised in that sort of mindset. It's very freeing once you realize that, oh, I can get validation from other sources. I can get validation from myself. I can get validation from God, and also from like other people I look up to. And it's just like at the end of the day, the praises of men mean nothing if it's nothing to improve your quality of life or to improve your skill set.
I agree.
Thank you, Keeper Jane. And yes, thank you for sharing, Keeper Jane, Keeper Tony. So, who else, by the way? Anything, for anything that you like to share? Any of those that you might have not realized, or any that you might experience today or experience in the past? Any of these dangerous love affairs that you struggle with? Because maybe there's another keeper that feels the same or, has the same struggle as you. So we'd love to hear all of your voices. If you're willing to maybe jump in.
So the question in the chat: why should keepers around the world be aware and careful of the 7 dangerous love affairs? So the 7 love affairs were right: love of self, love of money, love of praise of man, love of pleasure, love of darkness rather than light, love of life, and love of God. So I think it's important to be aware of these, especially, and I think for the self benefit of your life, because there are different types of love can dramatically affect your life, because we're like driven by either love or hate. And when it comes to love, like love of self, like, or like the one we just talked about, love of praise of man, like getting validation from your parents or wanting to receive praise from your parents, I think it's important that people should be aware of these, because it's like, I don't know how, it's hard to explain because just I don't know.
Which one, Gab? The
Like
praise of man?
no, I mean just like all of them in general. Like it's good to know them because there's so many different types of love, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. Some types of love can lead you to the right direction, and sometimes some types of love can lead you to the wrong direction. So I'm just like it's good to know the different types of love that you're getting into.
Copy, Gab. We'd love to. We'd love if you could also give some context. Especially, you said there's some types of love that can lead you into good, and some that can lead you into bad. So, can you give an example? So, what do you believe in?
Sure. Like, okay, I think one love that can lead you into the wrong direction is like love of money. Well, which is like the most sorry, which is the most like everyone said, money is sort of like it is the root of evil. So like yeah, so that can lead you into the wrong direction. You can end up doing like the wrong things in life just to get money because you love it so much, or the love of pleasure. Like a lot of men, there are a lot of weirdos out there that do bad stuff to women just to get pleasure, or uh the love of praise of man. A lot of people, a lot of just like a lot of people in general they forget where they come from, or they lose their humbleness because of the love of praise of man. But there's also the good types of love that lead you into the right direction in life, like love of God, I'd say, or like loving life, because you know, you it loving life just like gives you more reason to live. Instead of thinking suicidal thoughts, it gives you loving life gives you more reason to live.
Wow. Go, Gab. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for clarifying also, and um, for sharing your answer once again, Goalkeeper Gab. We'd like to also see and hear what you think, Keeper Vince. Maybe if you wanted to elaborate on Keeper Gab's answer, or if you wanted to kind of share what you think of the seven dangerous love affairs. Goalkeeper Vince.
Yeah, so like what I think like keepers around the world they should always be aware of like the love of praise of man because like I remember like there was keepers here in Los Angeles. They're always on their phones, on Instagram. They're looking at like their cell phone, their phone. They're always like taking pictures for like themselves to be like more popular, more famous. But then they should always be aware that like life isn't just about your social status, but like it's like how it's just like it's not about your social status, how famous you are. It's just like how you're living life, how well you are, how like if you're like comfortable in the world, if you really love your life. So that's like something that's in my mind.
Thank you for sharing, Keeper Vince. Yes, thank you for and regards to all the strong keepers there in LA. Um, other than that, would anyone else like to elaborate on the answers shared so far, or if they want to give their own interpretation or their own reflection on the, the seven loves, seven dangerous loves?
Can I check something, Calvin?
Goalkeeper AC.
Okay, so to the questions, why should keepers on the world be aware and care for the seven dangerous love? And my answer is that cause um, one of the love that stick to me and stand out was like the love of darkness, like loving darkness rather than light, and that's pretty most common to all young people who around the world, like especially in school. They like they're prone, like they do drugs and vices and stuff like that. Like they do bad things instead of doing like good things, and also for the love of money, and it also connects to those people who likes to do all those kind of things because they need the money to buy the stuff that they use and stuff. Like I think for those like who is who really likes doing taking drugs and doing that, I think that like they're probably would like get crazy if they don't have money to buy anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's all I think.
Goalkeeper AC, thank you for sharing. We'd also like to hear, or we'd love to hear, Keeper Rika or Keeper Erica. If you're still there, uh, we'd love if you're able to share anything, like even in the chat box, or if you'd like to share your reflection on our presentation today. Did they just leave? Oh no. Um, Up to you. But if not, I'm willing to jump in, of course. But
Wait,
would you like?
sorry. Oh,
Just keep
I'm
it going.
sorry. Uh, I feel like I just wanted to say, I feel like there's one love missing because when I'm not sure if I'm blind or something, but
Hmm.
pretty sure there's also like I don't see a love for that says for a significant other. Well, I don't know if that's love of
Um.
pleasure, but
Yeah, probably. No,
or is it?
that's a good observation. But I'm thinking it probably is. It does fall into the love of pleasure, because like the love of pleasure comes in many forms. Um, I'm reading it again. The love of pleasure comes in many forms, and examples are adultery, fornicating, lewdness, right? So, uh, good take, Bunso. I thank you regardless, but I'm willing to share my answer also, unless you want to jump in also. Keeper Josh or Keeper Frank, hello by the way. Sorry if we forgot to mention your name, but hope your nice hair and hope your day is going well. Would you like to jump in, Keeper Josh or Keeper Frank? We're talking about the 7 dangerous love affairs.
Um, but like I would like to add on to your AC's love of pleasure because like if you have there's this scientific thing your brain like dopamine like makes you want to do the thing that gives you pleasure more and more even if you have to like do like drugs it like destroys your body or mind or something like that it's like it like manipulates you like loving something too much makes it um like you have to do everything to um like achieve that thing even though it's like a bad thing I guess.
Goalkeeper Josh. Oh no, you're good. It it is hard too to share our answer. To really, because like we have we know what we're thinking, but like trying to express it is like another thing. Um, I'll try it also. So my reflection, all the keepers is like, at first, like when we're trying to do our research, right? I'm looking up the love of life, right? And I'm seeing all these like photos. They're all on like the sunrise. They're all going like this, or like this, like in the sunsets and stuff. And it made me realize that like before I found keepers, you can say I think like that before I found keepers, I thought the purpose of life was like to enjoy it to the fullest, right? Or like to live a life where it's like you made a huge impact on like all the people you've ever met, right? But essentially, too, think about it. It's like you love your life so much, but you forget to give love to where it's due. And like, who gave us life? It's like the Creator, right? So imagine living a life all dedicated to your own. You're not willing to thank the one who gave our life in the first place, right? So, something that I could kind of elaborate is like the love of God. Just like I was saying, something that we learned from Keepers Club. Not only is God a love, not only is God a love, or not only is God a God of of love, He is also a God of judgment. Not only is God a God of love, He is also a God of judgment, right? So it kind of mixes into the love of darkness over light. So imagine you know the right imagine you know how good, how righteousness, how right is loving God, but you choose to betray, or you choose to go against it. You choose to be full of sin rather than being full of being like holy, right? Or for anything, imagine just it's like any a kid could interpret it too, like good versus evil. You choose evil over good, right? Something from my reflection also, I know Gab was talking about the praise of man. Before I found keepers, I was all into that, right? Like I used to play I still do, like just like Keeper Gab, right? And all the musicians here. But think about it. Let's say you have a gift for playing piano or singing, guitar, or dancing, break dancing or something, right? Any kind of dance. And when you have a talent like that, you just want to show it off. You want to you really try to get a reaction from people, like applause, or like wow, or like whoa, you're a great dancer, right? So that's something that I realized also, like of course that's it's nice, but think about living for it. Imagine like living for the praise of man. Imagine like living just to please people rather than pleasing, the one who rather than pleasing a much better purpose. And hello, Keeper Erica, by the way. Hello, Keeper Erica. Thank you for joining. But we're talking about we're talking about the 7 dangerous love affairs in this topic today. And
Yeah.
speaking of the love affairs, another one I'd like to talk about is um, losing my train of thought. But let's greet them also. Feel free to jump in also. But we just want to also greet Keeper Joanna, Keeper Erica. So let's all give them a round of applause, everyone. Let me share this audio.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Keeper
Hello,
Erica, Keeper
welcome to
Joanna.
the
Thank you for
podcast.
joining. But I think I think final thought for my answer, right? It's really a choice. It's a choice where you're willing to give that love, right? And if anything, too, just know too that these are dangerous love affairs. They're called dangerous for a reason, right? So, just like Gab was saying, some are really good, like the love of God, but depending on how you use it, where, like how, like depending on your freedom of choice, it can really be dangerous, right? So, would anyone else like to share their answer or kind of reiterate, elaborate while we're coming to a close from this episode as I share the
I
audio?
think I am good.
You're good. You're good, Keeper Gab.
Yes, yeah.
Hmm. How about anyone? Yeah, anyone. It's still open, but like, how about any like final thoughts or maybe like some reminders, some things that um, you really learned from this topic? As I share the screen. All right. If not, once again, these are the 7 summaries or the 7 loves as a summary. And some things that we wanted to jot down to remember as a closing is that love is all we need, right? All we need is food, water, and love. And we mentioned this because, um, right? It really depends on your freedom of choice once again, right? So, just be careful too of the love that you may or continue to struggle with. Some of us might have dealt with it in the past. Some of it continue to struggle with it today. Some of us never even realize it, right? So it really is up to you to really reflect and to how you want to adjust or adapt to these seven dangerous loves. And also be aware of the dangerous loves that you are willing to invest in to invest yourself into, right? So be ready to face the consequences. For example, you can say, like, if you're willing to really go all out, you're really willing to use all of your time, energy, your calling, your purpose in life just to praise man, or just to dedicate it to a life of pleasure, dedicate it to a life of money, of just getting the most money you can ever have, right? Or even especially, like the love of God. It's really a choice. Be ready to face the consequences, good or bad. And um, with that being said, as we come to a close, we wouldn't want to end unless we have a reflection. So especially to the new faces, it's okay if you're not willing to share. But for any of the keepers that have joined this very special episode, we want to hear what you think of this episode today. Anything you really enjoyed, anything that we could do to improve and to improve, especially because we're always trying to better each episode from every week. And any recommended topics, by the way, because this is a continuation of last um episode. Like, first it's love, like generic love, and then also this is like the dangerous love. So does anyone have any would anyone like to share what they thought of this episode today?
I thought episode was uh I thought this episode was good. Every topic is different, so it's not really the same, feedback all the time, but um I think I'm pretty sure, like, I was gonna love to hear more people's opinions. Like last week we had a lot of opinions on our topic last week, but this episode was good too. You learn something new every week.
Mhm. Likewise, keep your gap. And even though we're having like a reflection on the whole episode as a whole, especially if we didn't get to hear your voice, feel free to jump in. And for anyone else who did jump in, if you'd like to share how this episode treated you, anything that you really enjoyed, any comments, questions, concerns, violent reactions, or improvements, anything that we can improve on. I know for sure something that I need to improve on.
AC has some.
Oh, you say AC? Goalkeeper AC?
Yes.
Well, I was just gonna say that today's episode was good. It was nice talking about the 17 years love affairs and how how it's bad for other young people. And maybe for next episode we can talk about the internet addictions and stuff.
Ah, good look. Well, I'm glad keeper Tony called on keeper AC. That's a good topic actually. Like the addiction to internet, right? Because that's dangerous too. Right? It can be good, but it can be very dangerous for all of us. So we'll ask for permission and we'll like coordinate, we'll discuss the possible but maybe we'll talk about that. Oh, goalkeeper Isaac and Isaiah. How about you? I love your Pikachu shirt, by the way. What do you think of this episode?
So
Good to hear.
today's episode was really really fun. I thought it was really fun and it was informational. Yeah, very informational about every single thing that we got taught today. It was a great episode. We learned about the seven different types of drugs.
Mm. Thanks so much, Keeper, Isaiah, and Isaac. Look at you guys, by the way. Oh my gosh, I love your guys' matching Pikachu shirts. So, we enjoyed hopefully as much as you, and thank you for sharing once again. Anyone else, since we're coming to a close, or if you have any final thoughts? Anyone? How about you, Joseph? You have this opportunity to talk more. You can do it right away for anyone.
I don't have much to say, but I really enjoyed this podcast. It was fun. I got to, bond with you guys more, get to know more of each other. That's all.
And while you're answering, Joseph, why do you think more keepers should join, especially for all the viewers or the new faces? If you love to join again, and what's your reflection, Joseph? Why you think more keepers should join?
So they get like their own safe space here for everybody. Like this, like if you feel uncomfortable at home, this is somewhere you can go to where you can talk to people, where you can feel safe, whether it be from the outside world or just from your home in general.
Wow, thank you, Joseph. So likewise, we're always looking for new faces, and we love to see returning faces, of course. So, um, speaking of new and returning faces, we'll move on to our shout out portion once again. So thank you to all once again the new faces. Go Keeper Erica and Keeper Rika. Thank you so much for joining, and looking forward to hearing and maybe even seeing you guys soon once again in person. But it really is um we'll see, of course, but we'll be, where we'll be in this podcast. And thank you to all the keepers tuning into this episode, all those who have joined through Facebook, YouTube, and all the returning keepers like Keeper Tony, Keeper AC, Keeper Isaac and Isaiah, Keeper Joseph, Keeper Vince, Keeper Gab, Keeper Josh, Keeper Alfie, Keeper Frank, Keeper Jane, Keeper Erica, Keeper Jerome. Also, regards to Keeper Joanna, once again, thank you as well to Keepers Club, because without the club, we wouldn't have this podcast, and we're very happy to be able to continue in Keepers Club, and especially to have this Keepers Club podcast. And of course, if it weren't for our president, none of us would be possible, right? So we really thank the founding president of it, Apollo Kibaloy, and for allowing us to really be an instrument of him and his love through the podcast, right? So, how about any final thoughts, even regarding like the shout out portion, or to our Keepers Club president, or to this the podcast on our whole goal? But while we are waiting for at least one person to have like an ending note, these are where you can find this recorded episode. This on Keepers Club podcast on Anchor. It's an app, so that's where we upload our audios. Keepers Club podcast on YouTube. We only have 3 subscribers, but maybe one day it'll be like 3 billion subscribers. You never know. So we have faith, and we'll believe that nothing is impossible. And we think, once again, Keepers Club USA, all we need is love. And you know where we'll be in case you ever want to join again. Invite all your friends, your loved ones, the keepers in your state, all those that you come across. But as I share the audio, we'd love to hear at least one person final thoughts, especially on the podcast, on the founding president. For all this is because um this is all possible because of him. All right. So anyone before we officially end?
Okay, so I can have the closing statements. So I just want to share to the people who are, first time like replying Erica, or even just for returning ones. Keepers Club is really just a place where you can really talk out your problems in a way that, and it's not like, this is just a place where we talk about things, but this is also a time and place where you guys can, talk about a problem that we can also help you out. Even for all of us here, like, how we have like a question portion? I think that's a great, part of the podcast because we're really able to talk out our opinions and, not really contradict, but back each other up because, we also go through the same thing because we all go through the, school here in America, so we go through the same situation. And yeah, and I really think this episode because, it's not really an eye-opening for a lot of people because, like you said, Keeper Calvin, it's not really taught in our schools. So this is like an eye opener because we know what to be aware of in living our daily life. So yeah, especially this episode, where we have the topics that we talk about and our key points, and I think, I mean, not I think, I know that we can really use it when we go back to school or if you guys are back to school because then if you really talk about, like if you really try to visualize it in your everyday life, then you can see that there really is a problem like going on that we don't really typically see because we, um, how do you say, like, make it common? We normalize it, yeah. So yeah, so this episode is a really great episode. Like, thank you for giving me this time to be able to talk for Calvin. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Of course, yes. And just know that we're all just instruments, and we thank you as well for sharing, Keeper Anthony. And just like Keeper Anthony was saying, that's especially for those who are back into school, right? So, we hope your first day or your first couple weeks has been going well or will go well. And just know too that like if you ever need like kuyas and ates, you can say, or keepers from the US that you can talk to, you can message. Um, just know that we'll always be here in this podcast, and we love for you to join. You guys are always welcomed, no matter what race, no matter no matter what social status, no matter what gen, no matter what religion, right? So just know too that everything that we say as well, everything that we're like preaching almost, you once again we are just instruments. We learn all of this from Keepers Club, right? And it's also a choice for us that whatever we say, we have to prove it in the time being, right? So if I'm talking about like the praise of man, and then I finish this episode and I go continue to please all the everyone that I meet, right? Then that's just me being hypocritical, right? So it's everything that for all of us is we really gotta walk the walk in what we preach. We gotta walk the walk in what we teach also. And also especially the new faces, Keeper Erica and Keeper Rika. It was a nice event as well, right? And then like there's an older lady, and then she heard about the podcast. She's like, hey, when can I join the podcast, right? So I'm like joking with her and too, but like I'm also a little serious that like the targeted audience is like young people like us, right? So we can be like your fellow keepers, like around the same age, or even your kuyas, your ates that you can really talk to and gather on Zoom. And I think very last thing too, because I know for me, it really is a nice experience because rather than talking to someone that could be like next to me or someone that I might see during the week, someone that I might see every day, it's you're like kind of anxious of them judging you or really like knowing your problems, you can say. So it really is like a different feeling too when you're able to like share it with someone you don't meet or you won't see sometime soon. It sounds funny, but like this platform really is an opportunity to share So, and then of course you can share whatever you want as well. You can choose what you want to share. So we thank you once again, Keeper Erica and um Keeper Rika for joining, and let's all give them a round of applause as well for joining. So, would anyone else like to share? By the way, yes. So thank you for joining, and we hope you enjoyed. But any final thoughts before we officially close?
I'm good. Once again.
Nice background, by the way, Keeper Gab. See you there. Ooh. But other than that, let's all take a picture. If that's cool, we love to see the beautiful faces, all of your beautiful faces, and we'll do two, or we'll yeah, let's all smile, and thank you for joining. So maybe on the count of three, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's all do a keeper sign, just like Keeper Vince was doing. So it's like this, I think. All right, so let's also have Jerome pose. But everyone have a great day, by the way. Before I ask Jerome, hey Jerome, we're gonna take a picture, so feel free to jump in. All right, 3, 2, 1. Keepers. Oh, and let's all wave to all the viewers. Thank you for joining. We hope you enjoyed. To all the viewers jumping in from the Keepers USA, Keepers all around the world, and we hope you have a blessed day. So thank you so much once again. See you all soon, and go Keepers, go Keepers Club.
Yeah.